This is MacVoices TV. Welcome to MacVoices TV. This is the Talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. And we are in the podcast loft at the Macworld booth on the show floor. This time joining us to talk about new media and social media is Joe Klein. Joe, it's great to have you. You are of NewMediaCreative.
NewMediaCreative. Thanks for having me in the loft.
Hey,
Chuck, what a loft it is.
Yeah.
I'm feeling very lofty.
I wish I could take credit for it, Joe, but the folks at Macworld were nice enough to give us a little time. I thought you'd be an interesting guy to talk to because you've been in media for a while.
Sure have.
You've been voice talent, which is probably what you're best known for. Now you're doing some consulting in the social media space.
Yeah, well, real briefly, I'm not only a voiceover artist and have been for years, but also developed quite a reputation back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s for being not only a record producer, but a commercial producer as well. Matter of fact, I developed a little niche for myself even back then, producing commercials for record albums and motion picture soundtracks and the like. So I've always kind of gravitated towards boutique production and boutique services. Real briefly, after my career as a producer and director, which spanned about 15 or 20 years, I stopped producing and directing for a while and just continued on as a voiceover artist only, with a kind of a major Hollywood voiceover agent. And in the mid-90s, I retired from the business only because I had had enough. And the business was in a little bit of a stagnant state at that point. And I stayed retired for quite a while, dabbled in stocks, kind of got involved in the internet bubble and did quite well, thank God. But when the new media revolution began in the early part of the century, and particularly when podcasting started to get legs, I had a little gentle sleeping giant inside of me reawakened. And I started seeing people producing podcasts and getting involved in this new space. And I go, you know, this is just for me, because I hearkened back to my high school days when I was producing little radio shows for our closed circuit radio station and wanted to build a little transmitter and get it around the neighborhood. I was very much like Adam Curry. Both of us were teenage DJs and just loved doing that stuff. So just something that podcasting rekindled the spirit in me. Back in 2005, I started a company called the Podcast Voice Guys, along with a partner named Bill Fortune, who's got the voice God wished he has. He's got the real basso profundo voice. And we started offering up voiceover services for podcasters back in 2005. Soon we were being asked more and more to produce complete finished productions with music and sound effects, what I like to call media elements, complete finished packages, not just the voiceovers. And before you knew it, my background in production started to spread around the new media sphere, so to speak, the podosphere, the blogosphere. And I was being asked more and more to do full service production of audio elements for new media. So last year, it came to a point where I said, well, you know, we're doing so much of this full production, and now new media, podcasting particularly, podcasting has now morphed into blogging basically. I said, I think we need to really expand the services of the company, and we should rename the company, rebrand the company, and expand our services. Along the way, over the last few years, I got together with a person who I met at one of the early podcast expos, the Portable Media Expo was called back in 2005, by the name of Brett Boometer. And Brett is an expert in blog marketing, affiliate marketing, SEO, and social media marketing. And we began to become very good friends, and we're talking more and more about all these related fields that were outgrowths of blogging and podcasting. And with the YouTube revolution, of course, the whole thing exploded even further. Viral videos were in the mix. So we decided to rebrand the company NewMediaCreative and expand out our services beyond just voiceover and production. bless you, beyond voiceovers and production. So we're now offering a full array of services that go just beyond that, which includes affiliate marketing strategies, blog marketing strategies, SEO, consultation on SEO, and social and viral marketing.
Social media is such a hot topic, and everyone's still trying to get their hands around exactly what that means. You know, does it mean that your company has a presence on Twitter? Does it mean that your company has a presence on Facebook? And we've seen companies just recently start to pull out of Second Life because it wasn't working, because they were trying to do it their way in an environment that they didn't understand. You're seeing companies like Whole Foods, Comcast, do some really interesting things on Twitter, and then you're seeing other companies that are just dying horrible deaths because they think it's the same kind of thing they do everywhere else.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, and what kind of advice can you give to folks?
Yeah, of course, Chuck. We could do an hour just on all the different levels of social media, and yeah, everybody's trying to get their arms around it. You're absolutely right. I mean, my take on it, first of all, is social media involves getting social media networks involved in your marketing for your company and the new media content that you're creating. And the perfect example of it, a real good example of it right now is Twitter. I think that's a real good example. Twitter is, we all know what, well, many people know what Twitter is. Twitter is gaining in popularity by the day, and is a real excellent way to communicate in 140 characters or less and include links. You can even include, of course, shrunk down links called tiny URLs. And you could use Twitter for a number of different social ways. You could let people know what you're doing. You could let people know where you're being. If you're a business, you could let people know what product you're working on or direct them to your blog. TechMeme, for example, TechMeme and TechCrunch are now on Twitter, and they're using Twitter to promote their blog. Blogs are a real interesting part of social media to me. It's what I started to refer to before. This is the most interesting thing to me, is that blogs have basically become the end-all for social media. And by that I mean a blog can include a podcast, an audio player, a flash player. A blog can include an embedded video from YouTube or one of the many other viral video networks, be it Utterly or BlinkX or Blip TV or whatever. So I think what we're seeing here is really a very interesting revolution. I think we're seeing people starting to use all these online social networks and different methodologies to get content out online that are all merging together, and they're all coming under pretty much the umbrella of blogs, branching out from there to shortened blogs. Twitter is a perfect example of a short blog or a post, a very short blog post. And so I think it's very exciting because of the interconnection of all these social medias and of all these social networks, particularly Facebook and MySpace. People link to, there's another one called Friend Feed. And of course, Pounce was a real interesting experiment that recently shut down, but Kevin Rose, took a real good shot at that one. And I really think that there's a big future because it's a great way to communicate that isn't limited. And the blog itself has become, over the last couple of years, and I'm sure you are as aware of this as anybody else, blogs themselves have morphed into this wonderful, all-encompassing, multimedia way to communicate. And people are just having so much fun and communicating with each other in such a wonderful way now by embedding audio players, video players, and so much kind of content onto their blog. And let's face it, just a few years ago, blogs were just text. And now by all these other elements coming in. So by the way, I want to say that in that regard, people that are saying podcasting is dead, podcasting isn't dead by any means. People are just including audio players on their blogs. Maybe we should start calling it blogcasting. When you think about it, that's really what blogs are now, because I would say 1 out of 3 people, or maybe even more. I don't.
Joe, as we wrap up, one last thing that I'll ask you to enlighten us a little bit. How do you deliver this information intelligently, so that it is information and it doesn't get tainted by that marketing spin thing that we all seem to? As soon as we think it's marketing, you back off a little bit, you start reacting differently, as opposed to information.
Okay, well, I could do an hour on that, but you could ask me how I am, and I'll do an hour. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know whether really that's a question that when you phrase it that way, there's two schools of thought. I mean, what's wrong with including some sort of a commercial endorsement or message? I mean, let's face it, people that create content, everybody that's a new media, you show me somebody in new media that says they don't want to make money, even if they could. I mean, people that are in new media doing it because they love it. What would be wrong with doing it if because you love it and making money as well? So I think we have to look at a whole new way to get messages across. I think a great example of that, one of the best for the last few years, has been Leo Laporte. This guy could talk about a product that he uses, whether it's on his KFI mainstream radio show or on Twit or on Twit Live, and people believe him because, for one thing, he only endorses products he likes, and people believe him and they'll go out and get them. I think production values are really, really important because the cream is starting to rise to the top. And I think well-produced podcasts and well-produced blogs that look good, videos that look good are going to start to stand out. I think you say, how do you present the content? I would just say present it in a way that has style, that isn't reeking of commercialism. But there's nothing wrong with having commercial content or an ad of some kind or an endorsement. I think it's all just in the way the presentation, the way it all comes together. Good production value. As a matter of fact, my company, NewMediaCreative, that's exactly what we're working on all the time since we expanded out and started doing business with that name. We're looking for new and innovative ways to not only help content creators improve their content, but also we're looking for ways to monetize. We're all looking to monetize so we can continue doing what we're doing and making money. And I think the blogs with multimedia content is something that's going to really, really be around for a long time.
Great. Joe, I know that this is a busy show for you and you're getting ready to head out to CES just to make life a little more interesting. So I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. It's very interesting, and best of luck with the new venture.
That's right. That's my pleasure, Chuck. Love being up here in the loft with you, and it's NewMediaCreative.com.
I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices TV at Macworld Conference and Expo in the Macworld Magazine podcast loft. Until the next time, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. MacVoices TV is brought to you by Tropical Software, the makers of Top 10 Notes. Check it out at tropic4.com. MacVoices TV is part of the MacVoices Group and a member of Mac Level 10.